How often have you been convinced to buy a lure with the promise of it being a fish catching machine, only to get it and realize you have no idea how to use it? When buying fishing lures, it is rare to get any type of instruction on how the bait was designed to be used, when it will work best, or where it excels over other baits. The important thing to remember is all lures are just tools that help anglers present different options to fish. The reality is, not all lures work in the same conditions, and the best lure is often the one that is most appropriate for the situation at hand. New Wave Fishing Academy's How to Fish series is here to answer these questions, help you save money when buying lures, and ultimately put more fish in your boat. Before jumping in, be sure to complete the training modules listed here. They outline the fundamental knowledge and concepts that will be needed to understand the ideas discussed today. You can always refer back to these modules to refresh your knowledge if any of the content or conclusions are still unclear. We know you want to start catching fish fast, but having a solid foundation of the fundamentals will lead to you catching fish more consistently and make better decisions while on the water. This module focuses on lipless crankbaits. By completing this training module, you will learn what they are, where and when you should fish them, how to get the best performance, what gear you should be using, and some common mistakes to avoid to help put more fish in the boat.
Lipless crankbaits are hard plastic lures with dual treble hooks that can be fished at a variety of depths and speeds. As the name implies, there is no bill or lip on this bait, and so anglers must control the depth that they are fishing it at. The bait will sink at a rate depending on the size and weight of it, and when retrieved, the bait rattles and vibrates with a tight shimmy to attract fish. Since the bait does not have to be retrieved in order to make it dive, they can be fished in a desired strike zone more effectively and in a more versatile manner than regular crankbaits. Lipless crankbaits are available in sizes from as small as 1 inch up to 4 inch and 1/4 to 1 ounce sizes. Although most lipless crankbaits do have internal rattles, you can purchase some without them. Be sure to check what you're getting to make sure that you are getting the bait that you want. Like all lures or tools, there is a time and place that the lipless crankbait will shine over other baits. The best time to fish a lipless crankbait is when fish are actively feeding and can be targeted with fast moving baits. This typically occurs in the pre-spawn period, sometime in the spring based on the species you're targeting, or into the fall periods. Lipless crankbaits are also excellent baits to use when the fish locations are unpredictable. In the springtime, fish will commonly move into shallow water and out to deeper water on a daily or even hourly basis, and the versatility of lipless crankbaits lets you fish many different areas without having to change baits. All you have to do is change your presentation and you can target fish in deep water or shallower water. The only place a lipless crankbait will not work is in thick emergent vegetation. However, you can still fish it around the edges effectively. Lipless crankbaits excel over other hard baits around submergent vegetation as they can be fished into and ripped out of the weeds without fouling while still triggering bites. When casting for fish, lipless crankbaits can be used in shallow to mid-depth water but become very difficult to fish in depths over 15 feet. There is one exception to this rule, and that's if you're jigging it while sharpshooting fish on your electronics or hopping it on bottom. However, there are often better options for maintaining bottom contact in deep water than lipless crankbaits due to their weight allowing you to get to deeper water quicker. Lipless crankbaits will work in both clear and dirty water, but in the dirtier water locations you will want to make sure that your lipless bait does have an internal rattle to help fish locate it that much better. Lipless crankbaits are some of the most versatile lures ever created. There really isn't a wrong way to fish it, but some retrieves will tend to work better under certain conditions. The two most common retrieves with lipless crankbaits are the straight retrieve, where you just simply cast it out and wind it back in, or popping it off bottom in a type of yo-yo effect. Straight retrieve is a good approach when fish are shallow, typically less than 6 feet, and aggressive. The faster you reel, the shallower the bait will run, and the slower you reel, the deeper the bait will run. You can also increase the weight of the bait so that it will stay deeper and allow you to reel in faster while keeping the bait deeper in the water column. When fish become lethargic and are holding closer to bottom or tighter to cover, switching to that popping or yo-yoing retrieve will help you entice the fish to bite, as it gives them more time to look at and focus on the bait. Popping can be done in depths up to 15 feet comfortably, but become a lot more difficult once you reach depths greater than this. When doing a straight or popping retrieve, be sure to make long casts, as this will keep the bait in the water longer and give you a better chance at encountering fish. Throughout the cast, don't be afraid to mix up the speed with a quick jerk or sudden stop to help shock a fish into biting. Bouncing the bait off of bottom and hard cover is another good way to trigger bites, as the sudden change in direction will get a reaction from the fish thinking that their prey is about to get away, and they'll pounce on it. Another technique for fishing crankbaits is sharpshooting. When sharpshooting, anglers are using their electronics to spot deep fish and then lowering their bait directly to the depth the fish is sitting at. Once this is done, the bait can either be jigged up and down, shook in place, or reeled away from the fish to get bites. The best method for the day really depends on the activity level of the fish. We prefer to start with the most aggressive tactic, just lowering and reeling the bait away, and then move towards more subtle presentations if the fish aren't responding well to this. Similar to how you wouldn't use a sledgehammer to put a nail in the wall to hang a picture frame, or use a small hammer to drive in a railway spike, using the wrong rod and reel can make it more difficult to fish your baits. By no means do anglers need to have a different rod and reel setup for each bait they own, but they should make sure they are using gear that complements each other. Anglers can absolutely fish this bait on other gear than we suggest with good results, but this is what we have found gives us the best performance for casting, setting the hook, and fighting fish. With this bait, being able to make long casts is important for getting bites. In order to make this happen, you need a long rod. Since these baits are relatively light, medium to medium heavy gear should be used depending on the species that you're targeting. If you're targeting larger, more aggressive species like pike or muskie, or even big largemouth and smallmouth bass, you may want to go to medium heavy gear, but if you're targeting smaller bass, you may want to stick with that medium light rod so that you can fight these fish properly. The small treble hooks on these baits are easy to straighten or break off, and you really don't need that much pressure for them to stick into the fish. Because of this, we like to use a moderate or moderate fast action rod, so that when you set the hook and you are fighting these fish, the rod takes a lot of the force and plays the fish itself, rather than the tension being on your line and then on those hooks. Bait casting or spinning gear can be used with this bait, but our preference is to fish fast and utilize bait casting gear. Mid to high speed reels with medium drag ratings allow anglers to fight the fish the best. When it comes to line, fluorocarbon is best, as it is abrasion resistant to the hard cover that you're likely going to be throwing this bait around, and it also has a little bit of stretch to help keep the hooks from bending out when fighting the fish and while setting the hook. Fluorocarbon line also sinks, and so this will help you fish this bait a little bit deeper and allow you to reel in more quickly while keeping the bait slightly lower in the water column. If you're looking for more details on why this particular gear was selected to be used with this bait, be sure to complete our fishing fundamentals and fishing gear presentation as part of the Zero to Hero Fishing Masterclass. We dive into a lot more detail on the benefits and drawbacks of each piece of gear, and completing these modules may help you better understand just why these items were selected for use with this bait. Before heading out on the water to try fishing this bait, it's good to be aware of the common mistakes most anglers will make while fishing it. The first big mistake anglers make when fishing this bait is their hook set method. These baits have small sharp hooks and don't need much pressure to set the hook. Anglers should be using a sweeping hook set for best results. If they're trying to use a standard hook set where you're putting slack into the line and then snapping it tight, there's a good chance that either the hooks are going to bend out, or they may bend so much that they don't even push into the fish at all. Short casts are another big mistake anglers tend to make when fishing this bait. When using a search bait like this, covering as much water as possible is key to getting bit. Making long casts allows the bait to stay in the strike zone of the fish for as long as possible, and it also allows you to help locate exactly where those fish are holding. The point of fishing a search bait is not to work an area slowly, it's to work quickly and cover water so that you can eliminate as much water as possible and find where the active fish are. Doing short casts works against this, and so you're not using this bait up to its full potential. We mentioned before that this bait is very versatile. If anglers are not experimenting with different retrieval styles to figure out what the fish want on any given day, they're not using this bait to its full potential. You can use this bait in a number of different ways, from fishing it fast to slow, shallow to deep. Really, the options are limitless. It's up to the angler to figure out just what these fish want on any given day so that they can get the most amount of bites and put the most fish in the boat. Since this bait is so versatile, experimenting with the retrieves can also give you clues onto what may be a better bait to be using for the day. If you notice that all of your bites are coming when the bait is sitting on bottom and just as you're about to lift it off, you may want to search to a more bottom contact bait like a jig or a jig head with a soft plastic trailer. But if you are getting most of your bites on a straight retrieve in the middle of the water column, maybe you can switch to a lipped crankbait or swim bait in order to get more bites. That will allow you to fish a little more easily and also get those bites. This is another benefit of this bait being so versatile, is that you don't have to have all these different baits tied on to figure out how the fish are biting. You can use one bait and change up your retrieval style to fit the conditions and figure out what may be the next best bait to use to get more bites. Final mistake anglers tend to make when using this bait is not getting it into the vegetation. Especially submergent vegetation, this bait is able to be ripped through it much better than other hard baits. Don't be scared to touch or even get right into the vegetation, as getting slightly caught up and then ripping the bait out is usually enough. That slight hold up and then a quick change in direction as it comes free of the weeds is enough to get reaction bites from the fish. So don't be scared to touch or even get in there. You'll still get bites, and this might give you more clues as to where those fish are holding.
New Wave Fishing Academy would like to personally thank you for completing this training module. Our mission has and always will be to help you become a more successful angler by providing you with the knowledge and ability to apply this knowledge to help you catch more fish. In order for us to continue our mission, we need to hear from you. If you have comments, questions, ideas, or want us to prepare a module just for you, do not hesitate to reach out. We will do our best to update our content to give you the best information possible. If you're looking to continue your learning on the water with us, we would be thrilled to book a session. Our thoughts are that there's no better way to learn than by doing, so we offer our lessons while offering you a fishing trip on the world-class fishery of Georgian Bay. We will teach you all you need to know and can tailor your trip to suit your needs. Whether you're looking to target largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, northern pike, walleye, lake trout, or muskie, we can prepare a trip for you. New Wave Fishing Academy operates on the eastern shore of Georgian Bay between Parry Sound and the French River. Looking for a fishing vacation? Reach out and we can hook you up with resorts that will offer you the best chance to meet your fishing goals. Whether you're looking for a remote getaway or drive to cottage, all our recommendations are within a 3 hours drive north of Toronto. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, by phone or email, and at our website. We are always sharing great content, new courses, tips and tricks, and the best catches of our students. New Wave Fishing Academy loves to hear your thoughts, feedback, and questions. If you want to see what the New Wave Fishing team has been up to when we're not providing lessons, check us out on YouTube for our latest fishing adventures and see just what is waiting for you once you unlock your fishing potential.